Some will wait a lifetime to take their revenge. A vicious robbery at a secluded Brighton mansion leaves its elderly occupant dying, and millions of pounds worth of valuables have been taken. But, as Detective Superintendent Roy Grace, heading the inquiry, rapidly learns, there is one priceless item of sentimental value that the old woman's powerful family cherish above all else. 6 o'clock in the evening, I make a vodka martini with a ritual, either 4 olives or a lemon round the rim. Go in my office, sit down, fag music, and get in the zone. And I'll write till 9:30, 10 o'clock. First thing every morning, by 6:30, I run 3 to 5 miles, have breakfast, and I go back to my study and I'll read what I wrote the night before and plan what I'm going to write that evening. The 9th in the series of the Roy Grace novels is called Dead Man's Time. It begins in New York, 1920. There is a small boy and his sister in a row house in Brooklyn, and their father is a head of the Irish mafia. And 4 guys break in the house. They shoot their mother dead, and they drag the father away into the night, and he's never seen again. His father every night would tell him a bedtime story, which involved this beautiful watch. The story moves forward to now, present day Brighton. A 98-year-old lady is a victim of a horrible tie-up robbery, from which she subsequently dies, and £10 million worth of antiques are taken, including this watch. She is the boy's sister from 1920, and the boy is now a 95-year-old man. He doesn't trust Roy Grace and the police to get it back, so he gets his son, who's a kind of 50-year-old thug, on a mission to try and recover it and take the law in their own hands. My mother was a Jewish refugee from Vienna, and she arrived in Dover in 1938 with nothing but the clothes she stood up in and a suitcase full of gloving leathers, because she studied glove design at Vienna Art College. In 1947, Hardy Amos was designing Princess Elizabeth's going-away dress, and my mother was asked to make the gloves for it. And she, after the war, built up a kind of hugely successful business. She's a very driven lady. And she kept her Jewishness hidden completely. At the age of 13, when I went to Charterhouse, my first week at school, I didn't know what a Jew was. I arrived there and 10 guys sat on the wall going, "Jew, Jew, Jew" at me. I wanted to hit back at those guys by proving them that this little guy they'd stood on the wall and shouted "Jew" at could actually do something with his life that maybe they couldn't. And that was a massive drive for me. I was very, very shy as a kid. I was afraid of the dark. Every bump in the night I'd think was a sort of mad axeman who was coming to murder me. And I used to live out my fantasy life by writing about it. Roy Grace is based quite a large extent on a real life former police officer, a guy called Dave Gaylor. And I met Dave the first time I was introduced to him about 15 years ago. Somebody said, "You ought to meet this character. He's a homicide detective, quite interesting guy." And I went into his office at Brighton Police Station, and it was a complete tip. Blue and green crates everywhere, bulging with folders. And I said, "Are you moving?" And he gave me a very sardonic smile, and he said, "No, these are my dead friends." He is my real life Roy Grace. And I think he has played an incalculable role in the authenticity that my books have, and which I strive so hard to maintain. I'm not always the sharpest tack in the box. I miss things quite often. So there's a huge amount of me in Roy, and vice versa, I think. I was born and raised in Brighton, and I passionately love the place. But it's always had a dark side. For a crime writer, it's absolutely the perfect place. Brighton has had a reputation, the sobriquet of crime capital of the UK and murder capital of Europe. If you were a villain and you wanted to design your perfect environment, I always joke that you would design Brighton. One of the really exciting things about writing, or for me, is that you never know where an idea is going to pop in your head from. It could be after my second vodka martini. But an awful lot of what I write about has come out of my research with the police. Don't cross me. There was a critic in a magazine who gave me a really nasty review a couple of years ago, and I actually had her dissected on a post-mortem table.